All right. Welcome to episode 229 of Hobby Hotline, Tuesday edition. We call it sometimes overtime. My name's John Newman from Sports Card Nation. To my left on the screen, Mr. Danny Black, Hobby News Daily at Sports Ball. And below us, not only on the screen, but also in age, we have Brody the Kid. Brody, good evening.
Good evening, John.
Yeah, well, Brody hasn't been on, and I didn't realize this in like a couple months. So we sort of missed Brody here on the show. But shameless plug, you'll hear him on a future episode of Sports Carnation coming up
Right,
in a
Harry
few
beat me
weeks.
to it. Harry beat me to
What's
it. I was going to mention.
Okay, all right. Well, I wasn't sure, so I had to get my shameless plug in. All joking aside, though, one of our fellow hobby hotline teammates. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't know if he wants it to be known, but a little bit under the weather, and doing okay now, but had a has a health scare, and we're thinking about him tonight and in the coming days and weeks, and we obviously wish him nothing but wellness and recovery. And so we're thinking about him. So with that being said, let's start off with the first topic, which I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, guys, but it's been it's been a trend, especially the last couple years. Another burglary, as you see there. This one in Burbank, and not Burbank Sports Cards, but Bullpen Burbank, and it comes a year after their main location was hit, where the manager of the store was zip tied, and then the store was robbed. Thankfully, no one was accosted or assaulted. It happened in the middle of the night. They broke through a back gate with a van. The van literally went through the gate. I'm going to put up some pictures here. We see what the perpetrators, four of them. We see three in this shot, guys, and then here's another one of them actually starting to load a box up. There's They took quite a bit of stuff: National Treasures boxes, flawless, a bunch of singles that are probably easy to track, whether it be graded or one on ones. Um, you can get those lists on most of the news sites have those available. But it's just another robbery in a long list. And you know what? I've talked about this before, and someone said to me, guys, that there's not more robberies. We're just more reporting, and I don't think so. I think there's more going on. So maybe with social media being a bigger thing now, sure you hear about it more. And as a former store owner, and I want to make one point, and I'll let someone else talk. Like if I was to open a store now, like I would probably have just one of them giant industrial fire safes, and almost like a show, right? You pack up at the end of the night and put it in there. I mean that's not foolproof, but it's I guess it's better than having a bunch of stuff taken. I don't know what the answer is. A lot of these places have security, shatterproof glass in some cases, and these are still going on. And it's scary as a store owner, right? That you work hard to build your business. These are your livelihood, and then just people, because of the value and the liquidity of this stuff, just feel like you can bust in and take your stuff. And I always get mad, even though it's not affecting me directly. I always get mad when I hear about another one of these. But just it's not going to be the last one, unfortunately. But I mean, what do we do? Like, what? How do you prevent this? These stores are, like I said, putting measures in, but it's still happening.
Well, when Fanatics announced that they might be discontinuing some lines coming up, I didn't think this is how they were going to get them off the shelves. Um, just kidding. It's a shame. It's twice. Just for this one poor company. But there's been others, and there's been others all across the country. But it's not unique to sports cards. It's not, jewelry stores deal with it all the time. Uh, insurance and security is expensive. When you go in to open a LCS, I mean that needs to be a real big part of your business because John's right. Unless you're going to pack up the entire inventory of the store every night, which is quite an ordeal. Um, you're susceptible to somebody just coming in because everything has value now. Like you said, some of those flawless cases and some of the singles and the stuff we took were really valuable, and you don't have to look hard in the store to find it.
Yeah, the lists are out there, guys. Initially I was going to read off everything that was taken, but for the amount of time that would take, it's you can the lists are out there. Take a look at them, especially if you live in that area for sure. But even if you don't, there's some 101s. Again, flawless national treasures. You can see the picture here. They're pretty disguised, but maybe someone you know uh, will recognize them, or a lot of these times they get caught, they make a mistake, or they try to move part of what they stole, and it's easier identifiable. So hopefully they get caught. Hopefully this stuff gets returned. Brody, I know you're a good kid, and this is would never see you in one of these kind of frames, but you love the hobby. You've been in this. I know it sounds crazy being you're 15, but you've been doing this a while. I mean, just some of your thoughts. I know they've had a few in your area too. I mean, it's all over that these things occur. Just your thoughts from your age perspective.
Well, I take AP Human Geography, and what I've learned in that class is that everything that has a positive, there's always some sort of negative. And we have this super popular hobby, and this is a bad result of it. Obviously, it's great that it's this huge popular hobby that's exploded, but there's a downside to it, and there's stuff like this. Now, my LCS, I know he has a huge like fireproof thing that you were talking about, and he doesn't put everything in there, but he has like his prism cases, his national treasures that he's saving for breaks, like in the long run, like that he's not using now. He doesn't have any crazy valuable singles, I don't think. Um, so I think some of his stuff is out, but it's nothing like that. If somebody stole, he would be like, it would be like, end of the world because it was a $16,000 box of flawless or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just something you got. If you're gonna open LCS, you gotta take that problem down right away and solve what you can do to try to figure it out.
John, let me ask you a question. Since you used to be a store owner, I mean, most people, just try to get the store open, try to get the inventory, and don't have an extra 10, 20, 30,000 for a top notch security system. I mean, is that fair to say?
It is, and I think so. But I think at this point, though, Danny, you got to build that into your operating costs, right?
Mhm.
I hate to say it like that, but even that industrial fire safe is not foolproof in the sense that if someone comes in or breaks in while you're in there, they're just gonna, whether they have a weapon, God forbid, right? They'll just have you open that thing up and load them up and take off. So it's again, it's not foolproof, but I would make it more difficult, right? They break in, like Brody says, stores don't put everything in there, but anything of significance, $1,000 boxes or cases, cards that are four figures and higher, right? You got to remember, most of these robberies, right? The perpetrators are really getting in and getting out real quick because these stores do have alarm systems
Yeah.
that do alert that the break-in is ongoing, and so these guys know they've got like 2 to 3 minutes max to kind of. That's why you're seeing a lot of these now with two or three guys or I'll say people. There could be two or three people doing the heist because it's more, it's six hands instead of two to grab more stuff and still get out of there in 2 to 3 minutes. So a big, and Rex, who's a big supporter of the show from the sports card shop, he said even have two of those giant fire safes, right? Or two safes, one that's clearly visible and one that's not. And the one that's clearly visible, make it kind of the dummy one, make them think
Yeah.
that's where the good stuff is, and hide the stuff in the not as visible one. There's no foolproof answer, guys. Unfortunately, we're going to still have these occur. And I've said this many times on my own shows, right? God forbid, we had, like, again, we had the bullpen manager get zip tied and left in the back of the store. I'm dreading reading about a day where God forbid, something worse happens over cardboard and chrome. But cardboard and chrome, that's, as we all know, very expensive and highly desirable and easy to move in the right circumstances. So I know what it takes to open a store and how much hard work and money and capital, and there's no guarantee of a store's success, especially now that the kind of crescendo has come down. And just for someone to kind of come in and do that to you, it's just a violation. Obviously, it's a crime, and I hate to see it. So I didn't want to spend a ton of time, but go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, real quick, kind of as a PSA for individual people, uh, make sure you're properly insured. If you have a good personal collection, um, don't assume it's covered on your homeowner's policy. Talk to somebody specifically about your collection. I deal with so many people who, quite frankly, are not insured at all on their collection or wouldn't be covered at all. Theft, fire, anything where it happens. So just for everybody out there, remember your personal collection is also something to protect.
Yeah, here's the other thing. I have that insurance. I know you have it, Danny. When all these burglaries and robberies occur, what happens to insurance too, right? Kind of goes up, right? That sort of like comes with the territory. So we all pay the price in the end, in some sort of way, whether that's premiums going up. I'm not trying to compare that in the same vein as bullpen Burbank getting that stuff stolen. And if you look at that list, I mean, it's a good chunk of change for sure. I mean, if I know that I think at their main store last year that we talked about, I think it was almost $1 million. This doesn't look like it would. It's that far off almost. So just hate to see it. And people work hard to pursue their dreams. If owning an LCS is one of them, just to have someone kind of come in there and do that to them. So again, we unfortunately, this probably won't be the last time, but I wanted to touch on it because, again, this is the second time this LCS. This is a different location, but second time in a year that they've got hit. Appropriate police car passing while we're on the air here, but
They found the guys. They're going after them.
well, they went cross country because I'm on the East Coast, but hopefully they get caught. Hopefully the stuff or the majority of it goes back to where it needs to be, and hopefully we just don't hear about these as much as we have been. But unfortunately, I think we will. Let's go. Let's go a little more upbeat, guys, and state of the hobby, right? And I'm gonna let you. You got the slides, Rex. So I'm gonna pass it over to you. But some grading numbers. We talked about them already tonight with Rex Gocher from the Sports Card Shop. He's very forthright with his store numbers and that sort of thing. And I know prices have come down, but the hobby's still very strong. And I think some of these numbers, indicate that. So I'll kind of lead into that and then pass it over to you, Danny.
Well, yeah, no, thank you. Just talking about the hobby as a whole and just kind of reflecting on the state of it. A couple different things we wanted to talk about. One, like you said, is Rex and this the sports card shop. And I wanted to just show this because he writes a kind of a monthly article, And what he showed was January of this year was up 56% versus January of last year. However, February was down 2.4% versus February of last year. So this was his kind of March 1st summary. And year to date overall is up 24% versus last year. So it's just, for me, that, is interesting that January was so high. February was pretty close to a break even. And then, that for the whole year, that kind of puts it up at 24%. So we talk about the state of the hobby, that seems to be going up. And then also from a macro level, I wanted to share this. This is from GemRate, and this is just over the last year, kind of a month by month of how many cards PSA has graded. And you don't have to read the details to see that the chart's moving up. You have more cards being graded over the year. So PSA has not only gotten rid of their backlog, but they're actually grading far more cards now per month than they were a year ago, which is just unbelievable. So they're pushing almost consistently now in the chart, almost consistently near 1 million cards a month PSA is grading, just to give a state of the hobby. And that's a enormous number in my mind. And so to me, those are both strong signs for the hobby from a macro level. So those were just two things I wanted to bring up. I know there's a lot of ways to measure the market. I know, listen, venture capital money is tough right now, for a lot of businesses. But overall, I think the hobby, from the ground level up, is a lot stronger than people realize.
Well, the grading prices have come down. I think that's definitely a factor why you're seeing the graded submissions go up. But even when they were a little bit higher, right? They were still strong. So I don't want to just say it's the only reason, but it's definitely a huge factor. I think the backlog days, at least right now, are gone, or nothing in comparison to what 18 months, what PSA was at one point. I'm a PSA and SGC guy. I just got an SGC order back in 10 days, and I got a PSA order back in like under 2 months. That was just standard, nothing expedited, just your base level sub. And so it's a lot better and a lot cheaper, better and cheaper. And anytime you can get better and cheaper in the same sentence, right? That's always a good thing. That's not always the case. I want to get Brody. I know Brody gets to some local card shops, and just with interviewing people on his show, kind of your take on where we're at.
Well, yeah, the hobby is still booming, that's for sure, as we saw from there. And I think it's crazy too, thinking about, like you brought up, you agree with SGC. That's just PSA. And we've got SGC, Beckett, and tons of other graders that are grading cards as well. And this hobby is just booming, it seems like.
Yeah, and Mookie, a couple comments we'll get from Mookie. I would love to see the average price to grade laid over that chart tick down. I guess
Hmm.
it has. I mean, that's a
Well,
definitely
can I say something? It
sure.
has come down, but it's also been targeted specials, specifically from PSA. Like they've done trading card games, they've done vintage specials. So some of the pricing, although it's come down, as a whole, but the real cheap deals, they've targeted these niche groups, and I think that allows them to always kind of get a rush of product anytime they want it. They can just discount a category, and PSA is so big they have that advantage. But
Yeah,
everybody's prices have come down. Yeah.
and SGC did a Pokemon
Yep.
special. They did the tops Chrome $9, or the tops 2023 flagship $9 special. They're all doing different things. Now we're seeing guys. We're seeing vault specials, right? If you have anything in your vault, you can get it graded, or you send to us. You get it graded, and then it goes in your vault, and you get a little bit of a deal there. They might discount some fees, or transaction charges. They might waive them if you do that. So there's all sorts of special deals going on for whatever the grading company is. I know CSG's doing things like that, PSA and SGC too.
Well, PWCC right now has deals, I think, with every grading company but PSA. So you can send a raw card to PWCC and have it graded by almost any company and put right into your vault or into the auction. And they're doing that. I think it's in 10 days.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to John, to your point, these partnerships, I think, are driving a lot of it, not just the prices, but yeah, it's making it more accessible. I think you can speak to the fact that they're also working, a lot of the companies, SGC maybe specifically, with subgraders to make it more accessible to get cards into SGC. That there's more subgraders now than there were previously. Brody, I know you go around. You see more people offering to be able to take cards for grading than you saw before?
Yeah, I mean, even just like scrolling through Instagram, you see it all the time. And still a lot of people I'm not even sure that I've heard of or know much about, but it seems a lot of people just scrolling through.
Yep. Got a comment from Dan Ryan. It's a little one with local flavor. So he says, I saw a Beckett Pokemon grading commercial on my Twitter feed today, and I thought that was interesting to see them highlight a Syracuse based trading card game over sports card grading. Yep. TCG Gaming is corporate headquarters is here right in Syracuse, New York, right in downtown. I sometimes pass that. It's kind of cool, even though I don't really collect or deal in those cards. The fact that it is a hometown company, like Dan just pointed out here as well, and I think it's one of the fastest growing uh, submission niches. Right, is the trading card games. I mean, if you do just trading card games, CSG is number 2 on the grading chart. Now
Yep.
SGC is number 2 overall, and that's I think why we're seeing Brody and Danny. I think that's why we're seeing some of these other companies do these sort of trading card game specials to kind of close that gap and get in that mix and get sort of a reputation for, hey, we do them too. Don't forget about us. It's not just CSG that does trading card games. So I think you're going to see more of that. And I think someone asked me, guys, will we ever see graded submission prices back where they used to be? $7, $8, $9, $10. I don't know about that. I'd love to, but if I had to predict that, I don't know if we'll see it that low. But they're back down to more reasonable standards. I mean, your thoughts. How low can they go, so to speak?
I mean, I sent out 2 submissions this week, and I wish they were a lot cheaper. But I think you're right. It's got to be the specials. I mean, Brody, do you grade anything?
Not much, no.
Do you buy graded, or do you like to stick with raw?
Some stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Brody's got he can't say because he's got like a secret pipeline of one of the grading companies. He doesn't want to, divulge his sources. But I respect that. But yeah, no, it's you know, I know some people don't like grading, but it's an important part of the hobby. We just did a story right with a burglary. Some of those cards are graded and have serial numbers on it. That's going to make those harder for the thieves to move without getting caught. And if they get caught, it might be the reason they get caught. And so, even in just that circumstance, right, we're seeing a lot of fakes being made. Not that every once in a while we hear a grading company get fooled too, but for the most part, they're pretty good at what they do. So, people say, well, that state, that we just said how the hobby's doing well, and it is. But others might say, well, John, prices have come way down. Well, that crescendo, I always tell this to people, that thing was like a 100-foot wave where all the surfers, wax their boards and get in the water, right? Those waves don't last forever. And just because they're not 100 feet anymore, right? Maybe they're 20 feet in comparison. it's the water's still great for surfing, and it's been a great opportunity. I can only speak for myself here to, buy some cards that were sort of out of reach during that crescendo, right? It's a great opportunity to cards you marked that you were unobtainable suddenly are obtainable again. And with the national approaching, we're 141 days away. Maybe some cards that wouldn't normally be on your list made it back onto your want list for the big show, right? And I think you got to look at the positives of every situation. And for me, that's a positive. I want to ask Brody here, too. With stuff kind of calming down. I mean, what's your view on that? Do you know what I mean? Has it helped you at all, or not necessarily?
Not too much. I mean, especially because a lot of stuff I can get now is retail, just because none of my card shops are too close to me. Especially for stuff like I do on the Daily Rip and stuff like that. A lot of more retail stuff. But I mean, in terms of like boxes and stuff has gone down, but it's not that you're right though. It's not that the hobby isn't booming. It's that we saw it with Top Series 1 in baseball that Fanatics was really pushing the jumbo boxes over the hobby boxes because the jumbo boxes I believe are around 230-ish a box and hobbies are like 90-ish, I believe, somewhere in that
Yep.
ballpark.
Yep.
And football, it just not the greatest class. There's a little hype around it because of how good Brock Purdy did, but other than that, no other quarterbacks really. And then
You're sleeping on my man Kenny Pickett. You're sleeping on my man Kenny.
No, he's not.
Kenny Pickett's good. He's a good quarterback, but compared to the last 2 and maybe even 3 years, the quarterbacks went down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I'm only busting you. Listen, there's some days I'm agreeing with you on Kenny Pickett, and others I'll debate you a little bit more. And how crazy is that? You got Brock Purdy's was probably arguably the best quarterback in the draft. He was the last pick in the whole draft, Mister. How crazy when you think about it on that level. Go ahead, Danny. I know you're going to say something.
No, I was just going to say that it's interesting because every year, the football seems so far behind on the release schedule. I mean, we're literally got the draft combine going on right now, talking about this draft, and the football cards that Brody's talking about already seem like these guys have been around forever. The cycle's just gotten so out of whack.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, some of their main products haven't even come out yet that people really get excited for. And yeah, we're a month and a half away from the draft. And we're talking about football. Basketball, I believe, has had 7 products come out. And the season ends in, I don't know, like a month and a half. I don't follow NBA too much anymore, but they've played like 60 or 65 games, so they don't have much of their season left. And I'm pretty sure only 7 products have come out, somewhere in that ballpark. There hasn't been many because I really liked collecting last year's stuff because my guy Io DeSumo from Illinois was in there. But this year, I I just I barely even know any of the guys. Like even the first pick, I still don't even know how to say the guy's name because I haven't watched a million YouTubers say it over and over again like it has been in the past.
Was it Pablo Ranchero?
Paolo Banchero.
Paolo, I think, yeah.
Paolo Banchero. But some of us have to do radio.
Yeah.
Giannis is the only place that I draw the line. Tanka took Giannis.
Yeah. So here's a comment from Collector's Dream. It's a great point. I want to talk about this too. He says the hobby's alive and well. Went to a busy card show and a busy card shop this week. That's the thing. I always think as a dealer who sets up at card shows and as a consumer who goes to card shows, not as a dealer. The mark of where the hobby is the the attendance at the card shows. And right now attendance is still very strong. And so that's, to me, that's a strong indicator and a very important indicator how the hobby's doing. I remember, Brody wasn't even born yet. Danny was around. The non-salad days, right, of the '90s when the hobby was in real, I don't want to say real trouble, but it was definitely down. It was on the rope, so to speak, to use a boxing term. And you'd go to a show, and there wasn't a ton of people there, right? That was indicative of where the hobby was, right? So if that happens again, right? If we see shows attendance lag and that sort of thing, then I would be more concerned. I'm not concerned with prices kind of coming down to probably where they should be. It's when people aren't buying or transacting or going to shows or going to hobby shops. That's when the caution light goes on for me, and it's not on because we're not there, thankfully. And like Collector Stream said, you go to a card store. I was at a trade night a couple weeks ago for my local LCS, and there was a good crowd. So that's a good indicator of the strength of the hobby to me. If in my 2 cents. But go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I was about to say I was at a card show last weekend and I hung out at a couple of card shops recently. They've all been packed. But you said the magic words, John. If people are buying or not buying, that's really the factor. Getting cards graded is nice. That's it's always good to see that. But the bottom line is if you put a card for sale, is somebody spending money to buy it? And that is definitely a little bit slower. I've noticed that it shows a lot more people are looking to trade. A lot of people are looking to sell their cards to dealers, not buying from dealers. So that's off a little bit, but I think that's just a little bit of a correction. Like you said, I think the strength is good. I think it would be, like you said, much more worrisome if people weren't in the room, and they are in the room. And on an interesting note, people may not realize this, but the reason that you have people who sign autographs at card shows now, that was really when the card shows were having trouble and they needed to bring people into the shows. They started adding the athletes to sign autographs to bring people in. So that's how that tradition kind of grew and really exploded.
Yeah, comment from Mookie Chilson. I went to two different card shows this weekend, one small and one medium, both busy, right? And I'm assuming, I don't know where they were, but if you went to two in one weekend, they were probably fairly close enough to each other, yet both were doing well, right? So again, another indicator, right? Um, I know, you know, I think what's happened too is, during that crescendo, I know I use that word a lot. That's my best word to describe that sort of year and a half of boom, right? During that crescendo, you didn't really have to be smart to make money. Like everything was just going up in multiples, right? Wax came out on Monday and you could probably double, triple, quadruple, maybe even more your money in a few days on that. And it was easy, right? You didn't have to necessarily have a big giant brain between your ears. It was like Midas, right? Anything you touch turned to gold.
Yeah.
That's gone now. So like to make money, and I can tell you as a dealer and as an online seller, right? I'm still selling stuff, but you have to work harder to do it. It's not just I throw this up there and someone's going to pay me twice what I paid. And those kind of days are sort of over. And like some people don't want to work at it, right? They like it when it's a layup, right? They don't want to take a further shot where the degree of difficulty goes up. And for those people, they're probably not liking where we're at now because it's just not a layup. It's not as easy. But for someone like myself and even Brody and Danny who've done this a while, like it's we're gonna be involved in the hobby no matter what. So and I've been through this before, right? Even worse. I've been in the hobby when it wasn't good. It was in trouble, like I said, in the '90s and what we affectionately calls the junk wax era, right? And
Yep.
everyone who thought their kids were going to college on all their Don Manley rookies, and then that was a detour. So you just got to adapt and have fun. I mean, have fun, right? The old adage is, collect stuff or buy stuff that no matter what the value turns out in the end, you're still going to enjoy owning them and having them. And, it's true. So there you go.
Shout out to Junk Wax.
Yeah, there you go. That's a little bit before, but it headed in that direction. So moving New York and New Jersey, I probably could have guessed, based on the name, but I don't want to assume. Brody, now have you? I know you're busy with your sports, and that's awesome. Have you got to many shows or card stores as of late?
Not many shows lately. I was at a card store for my birthday, which was fun. It was packed. It was very packed on a Saturday. Pretty hard to walk through, but it was. I found some good stuff for my birthday, so it was fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
What did you
baseball.
get?
Baseball is busy.
Danny asked you what you get for your birthday.
Yeah, got to know.
It was a couple. I got a couple boxes because especially on my birthday and Christmas, those are kind of like my two I really want to open stuff kind of stages. I think I got a box of Panini 3 and 2 baseball. I think 2021 Topps update jumbo box, which was an absolutely amazing box. It was really cheap, and I honestly wanted it just to get a jumbo box with that guaranteed autograph and the 2 silver packs. I think it was $85. I got it. I don't remember what I know. The auto was a Joey Gallo patch auto from the All-Star game, numbered to 25. And then one of my silver packs had a redemption, which, by the way, I'll mention something about I'm very grateful from Topps in a second. I got a redemption for an orange parallel number to 25 Manny Ramirez autograph, which was pretty sweet, pretty awesome. One that I've never pulled before and didn't expect to pull. But shout out to Topps because I had 2 redemptions that I got on my birthday, and they came in. My birthday was February 18th. They came in, I pretty sure March 1st or 2nd. So 2 weeks for both of the redemptions. So shout out to Topps on that one. Because Panini, my Zach Wilson score auto numbered to 6 is still waiting there. And I really want that Zach Wilson auto numbered to 6. So if he has a good year, I have it.
Yeah. I got bad news for you about that. And I'm gonna give it to you because you dissed my man Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's 5 times the quarterback Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had it when the Jets were doing strong and I could have sold.
Well, listen, when Panini finally sends you that Zach Wilson auto redemption back, Zach Wilson, if you're lucky, will still be playing in the USFL with somebody.
Yeah, so, maybe he's the XFL star. He's in the XFL team.
He's headed for the realm of Johnny Manziel land.
Hey, I can't bash on the XFL. It's owned by The Rock, and I respect that man, so I can't bash.
Yeah. All right. All right. So, listen, we talked about shows, right? There's a big one coming up. We know exactly how many days away. It's 141 to be exact. Who's counting? Right. But you know what? Someone said, man, that's still a ways away. It's getting close. It's getting close, and it's in Brody's backyard. I know he loves that, and it's a great venue. Everyone loves the Chicago location, being it's central located. I'm going to sound like a PSA announcement, not the grading company, but the public service announcement. If you don't have a hotel and you plan on going and you need to be in a hotel, you better hurry because they're filling up.
I was about to say it might be too late.
Yeah, you better. It's like the Drake, right? If you're reading this, it's too late or whatever. That you better hurry. The hotels, if you want to be anywhere close to Rosemont, you'll probably want to start thinking about booking your hotel. Unless you don't really care about commuting a little bit, then you might still be okay. And everything else, right? Airfare. The cheaper you book airfare out from when you actually are traveling, it's cheaper. The longer you wait, the more you're going to pay, right? And some will say, well, what, how big of a difference is it? I don't know. The more money you save, right, is the more money you can spend on cards and that you want and boxes if that's your thing. So anywhere where I can save a few bucks, it's more money I can spend that week of the show, right? So I figured I'd mention that because it's getting 141 days is less than 5 months. We're under 5 months away, and I know a lot of people, myself included. This is like Super Bowl week for them, right? Of the hobby, I call it the Super Bowl of the hobby. We circle it every year. I want to touch on the comment someone asked if you can only go to the national the first day or the last day. Which one should you go? And Collector's Dream, I think, gave the right answer. He said first day, you have more card choices. Last day, you get the best price. Great answer. Great answer because it's exactly accurate. If it's a card that's not rare or harder to get, I like to go to last day and get some deals. Right. If it's a card that is few and far between, if you wait, you may not get it. Maybe gone. I know that there's a lot of cards there, but a card of that ilk where there only might be 2 or 3 on the show floor, they may all be gone that first day. So it depends what your buying habits are, what you're looking for. But Brody, I'll start with you since it's your home national. I mean, you did make it to Atlantic City last year. You weren't sure you were, but we know you were already booked. And this is in your backyard. When do you start getting excited? We're 141 days out. When do
Once
you
I'm out
really
of school.
start?
Once I'm out of school. And that doesn't seem far away either. I mean, I thought about it, and it seems like I still have a lot of school left. But then I'm thinking about it, we're like 2 weeks away from spring break. And once spring break is over, it's like you got 2 months and then you're done. So it's not that far away, and it's gonna be excited. I'm excited for the first couple days to see how many people are there. Really, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Any truth to the fact that you're turning your house into an Airbnb? No.
Well, Brody doesn't live. I'm not going to say where he doesn't live exactly in Chicago. So actually, Brody will stay in a hotel too, just so the commute
Well,
isn't as bad. So
and actually, that's a good point. If people are going, it's in Rosemont, not Chicago. So a good hotel price in downtown Chicago is not going to help you for the national. You definitely want to make sure you're staying near the event in Rosemont.
Mhm.
yeah, and I'll tell you this. Rosemont is like what do they call it? Like a suburb of Chicago, but like Danny just said, it's not as close. So in other words, if you didn't have a car and you were commuting from Chicago to the Rosemont, that's like a $40 Uber trip. Think about how many days you're there to and from. You better be sharing that Uber car to knock that price down. That could be a $400 worth of Uber trips for the week. That doesn't include food. It doesn't include your hotel. At that point, you're probably better off renting a car. I don't know what rental cars go for. But
I feel like you're about to make fun of me for my first
yeah.
rental car pick.
So before you put this up, so for some people know this, some people don't. Me and Danny do car matches. We're good friends. We're rooming together on this trip at the National. Initially, he was
Separate bets.
yeah. Don't no one get the wrong idea. But initially, he's going to drive. Danny's going to drive from Baltimore. I'm flying in from New York to Chicago, but he was going to rent a car initially. Go ahead and throw that on the screen. We actually did rent this, and then we reversed the transaction.
And remind you that John and I are not built for a European cut. Let's just say we need a wide berth. So this was literally the car that I found for a good rental price. Because as John said, if you save money, you get to spend it on cards. So I
Yeah.
figured I'd save some money and I rented us a Fiat to get around town. And once we realized that we probably, one, wouldn't fit, two, we'd look like the Flintstones with our feet on the ground pedaling, uh, I decided we scrapped that idea. So I'll be driving in and have my car with me.
Yeah, the only good thing about that Fiat, Danny, like I told you, is if it's a tight spot, we could pick that up and literally place it wherever we needed to be at. We could probably just carry it into the foyer of the convention center and avoid like parking fees.
Right.
So, like,
I was
when I
worried.
saw that, I would do it. It would have been a funny. We would definitely had to have taken some pictures. Uh, you know,
I was
I don't
worried.
know what.
I was worried that every time I got out of the car, it would go.
Yeah, I don't know what the weight limit is on that thing to run. We probably would have been pushing the engine to the brink, but I think in the end, I think it was probably the better choice to
Yes.
to take your own
But
vehicle. We'll
the hotel we booked back in November, and we were even late on that. So just to give
yeah.
people an idea, that was booked back in November. So definitely, like you said, if you haven't made plans yet, all kidding aside, you can still go and still make plans if you've never been. It is absolutely worth going. I've lost track. This is probably my sixth, I think sixth national.
Brody might have us both beat. I think this is my fifth. Brody, how many will
I
this be?
I think this will be my sixth.
There you go. He's got
Yeah.
me beat by I think one. So he's one ahead. He's one ahead of me. So
The COVID
yeah,
year made my brain like, oh well, that wasn't a year. I kind of forgot.
it's the COVID, the one they canceled, like with the COVID outbreak. I mean that throws stuff off. So you're doing math based on a year, but then you got to
Yeah.
remember that
Mhm.
1 year there wasn't one. So you can. But you know what? I sort of count that because I was going until that
Yeah,
thing got closed up.
you don't get to count it if it didn't
Yeah,
exist.
that would be my seventh national. I'd have you both.
Yeah, Brody, back me up on this one. You don't get to count it if it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I was going. It's not my fault a national pandemic broke out.
All
Like
right,
I'm not.
I
I'm
trust
So,
I trust Brody's count much more.
away.
yeah. All right. Hey, I want to give a shout out to this gentleman here, and he watches us all the time. Antonio Padilla Aguirre, all the way from Juarez, Mexico, and he always comments in the room. And so we want to shout out Antonio. Thank you, and everyone else, right? Whether you're watching us from Arkansas or Mexico or wherever, we appreciate giving us some time, and you could be doing something else, and yet you're watching two ugly mugs and a good-looking kid on tonight's show, and we appreciate it. If you'd listen to us on audio, we appreciate it as well. Rich put, talking about stores, right? I got a donation from one of my LCSs, and they had 15 people in the store when I arrived. So transactions are going down. There's people, at stores, at card shows, obviously. The national. Let's piggyback off that, and while we're talking about the national, I mean, what do we think here attendance wise? We were all at Atlantic City last year. It was pretty busy. It was hard to tell because one thing, whether you like Atlantic City, guys, the city itself or not, the one thing I did like is the convention center interior itself. It was more wide open. You didn't feel like you were elbow to elbow with someone. So it was busy, but it didn't feel like it did at the Chicago National before that, right? And so it's Chicago, no matter how many people are there, it's going to feel a little more like people are on top of you. I mean, what do we think attendance wise?
Brody, what do you think?
I think similar to last year. I would be curious to see what it is like on Thursday and maybe Friday, but Thursday will be the day where I kind of get a feeling of how many people I think will be there. But you're right about the convention center. There are beams and places, and the main stage is in an odd spot, so it will be a lot more like on top of each other. Because, like you said, the Atlantic City one was so open, but there's beams and there's a back room that has a nice red carpet. I recommend that area. And then the main stage they moved back because of Breakers Pavilion, so you kind of have to swerve a little bit to get to some of the spots.
Yep, and there it is, July 26th through 30th.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be. Listen, it's gonna be busy. Someone asked me. Sometimes I get questions for my Q&As and stuff, and someone asked me, John, the hobby's doing well, but a lot of the people who were, in the hobby sort of make the fast buck. Some of those folks kind of left as quick as they came in. Might the national be not as crowded because those people maybe won't be there. It's going to be, this is like the event that everyone circles every year, right? I joke around, they could have this in Siberia or Alaska, and there'll still be plenty of people. People will find a way to
Oh yeah,
get,
I wanted to visit
yeah,
Alaska for a while.
yeah. So there you go. They put so to the people run the national. There you go. Brody says, "Do it in Alaska. We'll still be there, right?" So,
Right.
but it's that kind of event, man. And now with social media blowing up, a lot of new companies, partnerships, right? It's like I hate to say it like this because I don't like to say it like this, but anyone who's anyone tries to be there, right? If they can, and it is. It's besides buying cards and acquiring cards, right? I called the Super Bowl the hobby. I've heard another person call it the biggest family reunion, right? You get to see all your hobby buddies again if you've met them before, and in many cases, right, you get to meet someone you've friended online as a fellow hobbyist for the first time at the national. So it's a great event. It's great in Chicago. One of the things I like that when it's in Chicago is you got so much stuff on post show, right? Each day you got the White Sox and Cubs that might be playing home games, other sports. I know Ryan Nolan and myself are big rock concert fans. I know one year he went to Lollapalooza the same
Mhm.
week he went to National. So even after the show's over, there's just so many other things to do. Dinner with your buddies. We do a hobby hotline dinner, or we try to. There's just so many things to do. All the companies doing their after parties that we are sometimes fortunate to get invites to and attend. Right? There's just Chicago's sort of like really a great city for a lot of that stuff. Right? Big sports town, and so if you can't find something to do even after the show, you're probably not, trying hard enough. Truth be told, so um, I'm looking forward to it. Yes, it's a little, I was spoiled last year. I got to drive to Atlantic City, bring more stuff, but just the same, it's a great venue. You might feel a little tighter, but it's going to be fun. Things I look
I,
forward to, obviously. Yeah, go ahead.
I was about
Go
to say
ahead.
a little birdie told me that the layout might be slightly improved. Um, I think that what Birdie talked about are problems that have been going on for a while that they're trying to solve. So I think we'll see. I'm a little skeptical, but hopefully at least there's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, please, please. I
Right.
forgot about that. That wasn't even one of the things I was thinking about. Oh my.
That I will say that made the experience a lot rougher. I know it's
We're getting Victor. We're the hype man for Victor, and again, Victor is a Chicago guy too. So him and Brody, this is their home show, backyard show. So you don't need. I don't think Victor really needs us to get him hyped up when he's that close to it. Collector's Dream. He's rooming with Ryan Nolan. So shout out there, and so it's things I look forward to. Obviously buying some cards, but seeing everybody in person again, maybe for the first time. I love the Tops Q&A. I love the after stuff, right? I always look at the sports schedule, right? Who's home?
Yep.
What game can we go to? Do I have anything else scheduled on that night where I can go to a game and not miss, an event that I've already committed to? We do, like I said, the hobby hotline dinner that we try
I
to do.
I
But
would say, John, you're right. The national is almost like two separate events. You've got the daytime world, which is kind of one thing. Then you've got the evening events, and whether it's the trade nights or the private events, I think that's become almost just as big. I mean, some of the trade nights now are huge evening events that go all night. So
yeah, and I gotta do this while I can. I'm not getting any younger. I'm crashing like I need a vacation when I get back from the national. I'm beat up. I'm like a guy that played pro football the night before. I'm just things I didn't know I had hurt. You look at your phone or your smartwatch and then realize how many steps you did. It's insane. You walked 12 miles one day just walking around the national. It's probably easy for Brody, but when you get, I'm older, a little bit older than Danny, but when you get my age, you pay for it eventually, right? It's all wear and tear on the tires, but it's fun, right? It's a fun type of thing, and I always say the line "sleep when you're dead," so I guess I'll wait to that. But it's just a great. We circle the week, and the nice thing, it's really almost the same week every year. And now for me, being in the teaching profession, it's in the summertime, so it's easier for me to get the week off. With my previous job that I had, it was like pulling teeth to get the week off to go, and I got a guilt trip a lot of things. Even when I got the week off, they kind of tried to make me feel guilty about it. So I'm thankful that I don't have to deal with that sort of rigmarole, if you will. But yeah, it's just a great event. I look at it. I don't know what you guys do, but I go into and I try to find like two bigger cards off my target list, and I try to target the national where I'm going to try to come out of there win them. Last year, it didn't happen to the last day, and the funny part was,
you
uh,
bought my card.
yeah, I stole Danny's card that he was looking. We didn't know that wasn't planned. Just worked out like that. It was a
No,
okay.
no, it was not planned that you were going to buy my card. I was going to go buy the card.
Was like you got to buy it when you're
There
at
was one card in
when
the
you walk
entire
away
room
from the
that we both
table.
saw, and we didn't talk to each other. And I went back to buy it, and it wasn't there, and I figured I missed it. And we go to lunch or dinner, and John goes, "Look at this card I bought." I said, "You bought it from the guy with the red on the third aisle, right on the end," and I knew exactly which card he bought it right out from under me. Beautiful card, great buy.
Yeah, I think great minds think alike. That's all I'll
Yeah.
say there. But
Yeah.
Brody, I want to go to you here, man, because you're usually the kid. What do they call it? The kid ambassador, or the national.
Yeah, Brody, you always get a lot of coverage at the national as the ambassador. I think that's what John was talking about.
Yeah, what is you usually get the title at the show, like the national kid, or what is it they give you?
Usually it's the national kid host, and I don't know anything official yet. Because we're still 141 days. We're still a little bit away. Nothing official yet. But the main thing I do is I go around and try to film as much as I can, and it makes it a lot easier if there's Wi-Fi there too. So pray
Yeah,
that there's Wi-Fi there, because then there's lots of more videos I can get out there to do, because we don't have to run outside to try to post it, because there's more Wi-Fi outside in the building.
I mean that.
I'm looking for something. Oh, right here. And you've made it. You've made it when you have one of these. That's Brody the Kid. A little, what do you call him? Like wrestle buddies, or
Yeah,
it's tough.
yeah, I guess. Yeah, a little wrestle buddy. Yeah.
So like there's no John Newman one of these. This is Brody the Kid. Although it does look a little bit like me at a
I
certain
was
angle.
gonna say it looks like Brody jacked up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like
I
an
just
AirPods
dropped Brody.
a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of arm days.
So I got this from Brody. I gotta have to sign this. I might have to bring this with me, Brody, and have you sign it. But Brody's great. Like, does a lot of events. I know he does some stuff with Tops, and you'll have your most likely you'll have your own booth there, and doing a lot of stuff with kids. And Brody knows what I think about that as a former 7-year-old child collector. That like child actors manage to stay straight and be okay, and I'm still here. But kids in the hobby are big thing to me, all joking aside. And so Brody definitely advocates and an ambassador, even though you're not a kid anymore, Brody. I think you might have to change, like you might have to be Brody the teen, or Brody the young man or something. But no, you'll always be Brody the kid to us, especially when you're my age. Everyone turns out to be a kid to you. But you do a lot of great events, and I don't know where you get, even for being young, I don't know where you get your energy. Every time I look for you, you're hard to find. You're making miles around that venue. So it's going to be fun. Obviously seeing you and
It will be fun.
It will be.
It will be, and I'm looking forward to it. And Brody, one of the things is, I've got 2 kids, so I just want to thank you, for getting the kids involved also, because it's been tremendous for my kids to be able to come to shows and to the national, and they actually know who you are, and so for what you're doing, it really does resonate with the kids out there. So thank you.
Well, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
But you guys help me a lot too, and this is where some of the stuff I get out comes from, is shows like this and John's show, Sports Card Nation, that's going to come out. So it all helps.
Yeah, apparently I stole some of the Wi-Fi from Atlantic City tonight, so that's why I've been popping popping in and out. So
It's a retrofractor.
yeah, it's a frozen factor or whatever. I don't even know anymore. But no, it's going to be fun. We're up against the hour, so we're going to probably wrap it up. But I hope to see, just in closing, and I'll let you guys say your thing. I hope to see as many people as we can at the national. It's always fun to put faces to names, especially for the first time, and that's always fun. I like to try to have some free swag with me, shirts or whatnot, to hand out when I can. And it's just a lot of fun seeing everyone picking up some cards, going to some events after the show itself. And I think this year is going to be as big as any of the ones before, and then bigger. Any closing thoughts, Danny?
No, somebody asked what cards are we looking for this year. I'll just say my list is not finalized, but the early list involves Moberg and Sandy Koufax. So we'll see where it goes from there, and maybe Pete Maravich.
There you go.
Wow.
Brody, any final thoughts? What do you know any? I mean, have you locked in anything yet, or that's still a work in progress?
Still a little bit of a work in progress, but thinking about 141 days, it's close. And I'd say if you're gonna do something, you're bored, check out my Instagram at Brody the Kid One. I'm ranking the MLB teams with the player to expect.
Oh,
If you look today, you could see Danny Black's beautiful Orioles and
oh,
Reds on there.
okay, okay. This is Hobby Hotline overtime. Okay, real quick. 24th. Let me explain to you. 1 is the best. Okay, so when you put the teams in order, the good teams go near the top.
Oh yeah, that's where the White Sox will be. They'll be around there.
Oh gosh.
All I know is I'm not going to probably have the same argument Danny's having, because as a Mets fan, I know they're going to be up in that upper echelon. Or we'll be having the same.
Well, Brody, we might have to do a gentleman's handshake, and you'll have to pick a restaurant for us to have lunch, and maybe we'll see the White Sox versus Orioles, who's got the better record by the National.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
There you go. A little
All right.
inside bet.
Maybe put a little McDonald's on it. We'll figure it out.
All right, guys. For me, I got 5 cards on my list. I hope if I can get 2 of them before I come back to New York, it'll be a successful trip. It's going to be fun no matter what. Again, I want to reiterate, thanks everyone who watched this show live, or if you watch it even after the fact on YouTube. If you're listening to us on audio, we appreciate it as well. And if next Saturday we got Drew and Adam and a mystery, maybe third guest will pop in as well. So we'll see you Saturday on Bench Clear, and we'll be back here Tuesday night again on the Hobby Hotline YouTube. So for Danny and Brody, have a great night. We'll see you. We'll see you soon. 141 days to the National.
Peace out.